there was a rumor deep within an unknown forest about an ancient storage facility, and inside that place lies an unexpected discovery. One of the pages of an old Monster Hunter book shared a myth about an ancient civilization. This lost civilization once meddled with life, slaying 30 dragons and using their bodies alongside their powerful technology, giving birth to an ultimate life form that could surpass many powerful creatures. This life form was then used to triumph in what was known as the Great Dragon War, driving both sides of the conflict to the brink of extinction. It sounds polarizing to hear, don't you think? Most hunters dismiss the idea, so was I, and let me tell you, this aged like Wilt. This is one of the most disturbing lore in Monster Hunter. Guardians. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there was an old Monster Hunter book detailing a myth about an ancient civilization. That rumor was brought up in this book, the Hunter's Encyclopedia. It's written by the Royal Paleontology Scriveners. They are a public organization within the world of Monster Hunter. They are dedicated to researching, studying, and observing the ecologies and whereabouts of various monsters. The book shares an eerie illustration of monstrous Frankenstein-like dragon. Rumor suggests that this amalgamated creature was engineered to win the Great Dragon War. At that time, the whole idea of an ancient civilization having the most powerful technology to develop a Frankenstein-like dragon just sounds ridiculous. However, there were clues in every game that led me to think, what if this rumor was true? And what if there was a civilization capable of doing so? The most notable clue is the Artian armor? How do you guys pronounce this? And some of the rusted weapons based on the description. Several years later, the Hunters Guild was out and about exploring the Forbidden Lands and discovered what they've never expected to be possible. During our journey of helping Nata return to his home village, after we had met him passed out on the borders of the Forbidden Lands, we encountered something unusual underground. We encountered two Doshagumas that looked really unusual, and they were fighting each other. Based on the appearance, typically these creatures have bristly, golden brown fur, and the alpha will have a brighter, deep red mane. Their forelegs and face should look a bit reddish-orange. However, the appearance of these two Doshagumas were completely different. Their bristly fur had now a silver-white hue, their eyes were black, and their forelegs looked pale gray. But the thing that stood out the most was their veins, pulsating with a purple glow. This uncanny creature locked eyes with our hunter and immediately became aggravated. As the fight went on, the purplish veins on its forearms grew brighter and started to steam. When it slammed the ground, there was a strong burst of energy, and strange, coral-looking crystals formed out of the ground. But the most surprising thing was the way its body reacted. The wounds were regenerating, while some of them had something strange leaking out. What happened next was interesting. As soon as Doshaguma started losing its energy, it quickly ran towards the strange pool of liquid known as Wilk. The monster stood in the pool and let its body absorb the Wilk, instantly regaining its strength. Of course, after a while, the monster finally weakened and it collapsed onto the ground. Phew, that was a lot to digest. Are you still here with me? What we encountered are creatures known as guardians. Unlike other species, guardians are artificial monsters created by the civilization of Wyveria. Now, as you've noticed, these artificial monsters, they mimic the appearance of other monster species. They are immediately recognizable by their pale, gray bodies, black eyes, and glowing, pulsating purple veins. According to Alma, our handler, other defining characteristics also include a lack of reproductive organs and a severely atrophied esophagus. I assume that this is also the reason why the roars of the guardians sound different. It looks disturbing the more I think about it. Inside the ruins of Wyveria, there is a small village known as Sild. The people of Sild, known as the Keepers, have some knowledge about these strange, artificial creatures. According to Tashin, one of the people of Sild, these guardians had several unique properties. The keyword here is had, but we'll get into that in a bit. He mentioned that guardians don't eat. Instead, these artificial creatures rely on a unique energy source called Wilk, also known as wyvern milk, to function. This eliminates their need for predation. Another thing about these guardians is they live indefinitely and therefore have no need to reproduce. We just see some of these guardians come out of the giant cocoons underneath the ruins of Wyveria. How they are actually made is a question we have yet to understand. These guardians do not die of natural causes. Even so, here are some of the materials we can gather. Another observation I've noticed, unlike normal creatures whose carcasses rot away, the corpses of these guardians crystallize, and it's just fascinating to see. Lastly, it turns out guardians can be tricked. We discovered this when Tashin and Nata have to hide in a cocoon after a guardian Arkveld ambushes the group. Eventually, after a bit of research, the guild classifies these artificial creatures as constructs. I guess our next question would be, why were they made in the first place? We learned from Allharkin, a Wyverian living in the mountaintops of Suja, that these guardians are Wyveria's greatest achievement, and their main purpose was to serve their needs. Wow, that is crazy if you ask me. As of right now, or as of this video, Wyveria has experimented with and created 7 powerful guardians. Let's go through each one of them. We first ran into Guardian Arkveld while exploring the Forbidden Lands. At first, we had no idea it was a guardian, especially since historical records from the guild say this monster is extinct. It wasn't until we met one of the keepers, Tashin, that the secret of this fallen civilization was revealed to us. We'll talk more about Guardian Arkveld later on, so for now, let's keep going with the rest of the guardians. While we were exploring deep into the ruins, we found strange traces of a monster near the area and predicted it may have come from a subspecies known as Ebony Odogaran. And lo and behold, the monster itself decided to show up. Ebony Odogaran had several advantageous traits that made it a great choice for Wyveria's guardians. According to Alma's predictions, this guardian would need to have a keen nose, enough mobility to navigate any terrain, it could maintain a broad territory, a habit to pursue its prey relentlessly, and lastly, it should be good to be placed as a guard. If we were to compare Ebony's guardian to its natural form, there are some interesting things I've noticed. Its guardian form is able to sustain its dragon energy better than its natural form. Naturally, to maintain its power, Ebony Odogaron usually carries a large piece of meat, because using dragon energy takes so much energy from this monster. As to what dragon energy is, we're gonna dive deep into that in a future video. As per usual, its guardian form is just as agile as its natural form. Its claws remain sharp and still causes its opponents to bleed. Whenever Ebony Odogaron attacks, the Wilk energy that it carries triggers an explosion. If its dragon element attacks connects with Wilk crystals, it will cause an explosion of the same element. Surprisingly, Ebony Odogaron was not the only subspecies Wyveria chose as a guardian. While we were in the depths of the ruins of Wyveria, analyzing the Lalabarina, the monster accidentally awakened a guardian from the giant cocoon. This guardian was Fulgur Anjanath. Fulgur Anjanath seems to follow the same selection pattern as Ebony Odogaron. It holds the same advantageous traits that make it a great candidate as a guardian of Wyveria. Much like Guardian Ebony, Guardian Fulgur Anjanath is able to maintain its electrified state much better than its natural form. How does it usually work? Well, this monster's whole body is designed to generate electricity simply by moving. It actively uses the sails on its back, its mouth, and the feathers all over its body to generate the electricity. As that internal power builds up, the feathers, especially the ones on its back, will stand straight up and open its mesmerizing blue sails. How does it help the monster? You see, Fulgur Anjanath's electrical charge toughens the monster's hide. It also makes the disgusting mucus highly conductive, and it regulates its body temperature and boosts its physical strength. With that said, it can only remain in that state for a short amount of time, so it needs to make the most of it. When its body reaches its limit, the monster performs a powerful dive attack using all the stored electricity for one powerful bite. Once it releases the energy, it completely loses its electrical power and must continuously attack to regain the charge it lost. On the other hand, as I mentioned, Guardian Fulgur Anjanath is able to maintain this electrical charge. Not only their lightning attacks a threat, but their maws, when infused with Wilk energy, will also cause wide-range explosions. Similar to Guardian Ebony Odogaron, the Wilk crystals that form from their attacks will explode through elemental interference like their electrical charge. Another interesting thing to mention is that while observing the Guardian Fulgur Anjanath, sometimes it would try to dig a hole in the ground. I'm not quite sure why, as its natural form doesn't do this. On the side note, while I was wrapping up the script, I've read that they would normally sharpen their fangs by eating prey, but since they became a guardian, they no longer need to eat, so instead, they sharpen and regrow their teeth by digging a hole in the ground. I think that makes sense. Besides Fulgur Anjanath, Wyveria has another monster to serve their needs. This is Guardian Doshaguma, a guardian that was formed from the body of Doshaguma. I've already shared the story of how we first encountered this guardian, so let's get straight to the differences between its artificial and natural form. Doshagumas are large, fanged beasts. They are aggressive, attacking enemies with everything they have, even throwing smaller monsters at their targets. These monsters primarily bite, swipe with their large claws, or slam their bodies into their enemies. Despite commonly appearing in groups, Eric suggests that these creatures are independent. Their strength allows them to survive by themselves, as they have little to no fear from other predators. When Doshagumas form as a group, typically in the desert, it's only a temporary loose group to get an easy meal. It's not to socialize or show any loyalty to the alpha. Once a Doshaguma has taken significant amount of damage, it becomes enraged and stands on its hind legs, causing its old wounds to open. In this state, it gains new attacks and combos, like using its claws to uproot the ground. Guardian Doshaguma is comparable to its natural form, but it has some key differences. It's typically alone, and its attacks often result into Wilk energy explosions. Additionally, it spits out acid that lowers the enemy's defense, which I find a bit strange. How can the Guardian Doshaguma spit out gastric juice when it hasn't eaten anything? But let me know what you think. Like all Guardians, Guardian Doshaguma uses Wilk energy to regenerate wounds and absorb it enough that it allows them to re-enter this empowered state. Now, what about small monsters? Has Wyveria chosen any small monsters as their guardian? When Tashin finally revealed Wyveria's secret, we learned that the ground beneath the ruins of Wyveria is filled with many cocoons, each one containing artificial creatures, one of which are guardian sacrets. Sacrets are interesting bird wyvern-looking creatures that we first discovered in the Forbidden Lands while rescuing a child who was being chased down by monsters in the sand. These creatures are covered in blue and green scales, and they have purple-ish feathers, but according to the kid we rescued, sacrets come in a variety of colors depending on what they're fed. They are agile creatures that primarily use a bipedal stance. Despite this, they possess short forearms that allow them to drop into a quadrupedal stance to sprint. These same arms can unfurl into wings, allowing the sacred to glide from high places. Inside the Kunafa village, we can also see some of the creature's babies. They are small and round, covered in fluffy white feathers, and have smaller beaks and short, forward-pointed crests on their heads. Although most of the sacrets we've encountered appear to have been domesticated by the Sandfolk people of Kunafa, living alongside with them for generations as both mounts and companions. Guardian sacrets, on the other hand, are quite different. Unlike their natural counterparts, they are aggressive and distinguished by their sharp, dangerous claws on their forelegs. They typically appear in packs of 2 or 3, but if threatened, they are known to call for reinforcements and attempt to surround their opponent. Much like other guardians, most of their physical attacks are infused with Wilk energy and will cause explosions. What's interesting is how the appearance of these guardians tell us more about Sacred. As I've mentioned a while ago, it seems that before the Sandfolk people domesticated them, Sacreds possessed sharp, dangerous claws on their forelegs. Now, here's my theory. Circling back to my previous video, I theorized that Sacreds are closely related to Keptos, an extinct species of quote-unquote running bird wyvern. You see, Keptos had wings, but they were not capable much of flight. Researchers suggest that Keptos was still evolving stronger legs for longer distance running, while most of the species that followed Keptos had evolved to have stronger legs for long distance running, like the Yakus, such as Kuluyaku and Sitsuyaku. Researchers theorize that Kuluyaku's forelimb feathers suggest its ancestors once had wings. However, these feathers are now used solely for display, with males using them to attract females. Unlike their relatives, Sacrets were able to retain enough forelimb feathers to allow them to glide from high places. On top of this, the Sacred's bone structure in their legs is designed for long-distance running. However, they can't run fast or be explosive for short sprints. On the topic of creatures that can take flight, let's now talk about another guardian that conquers the skies. As we reached the surface from an underground tunnel, we discovered a large, unknown ruin structure. Nata calls out, and then a man named Tashin appeared from the rubble. Suddenly, a loud roar was heard from the skies. Tashin was frightened. The monster came crashing down from the misty sky onto the gates. Everyone ran away to hide, and we locked eyes on the monster, Guardian Rathalos. It's no surprise why they would choose Rathalos, considering most of the guardians we've seen so far focus on land. Wyveria also had to consider a guardian to rule the sky. Much like its natural form, Guardian Rathalos attacks violently with its claws and flaming breath. Like most guardians, some of its physical attacks, especially its claw attacks, cause explosions due to the Wilk energy, which you can tell when its legs starts to glow. Similar to Guardian Volker Anjanath and Ebony Odogaron, the Wilk on the ground crystallizes. If these Wilk crystals, yep, that's what they're called, are hit by the monster's fire attacks, they will cause an explosion. Lastly, Guardian Rathalos can also regenerate its wounds by absorbing energy from a nearby Wilk pool, which allows them to re-enter an empowered state. Now, you might be thinking, it seems like these guardians have nothing to worry about, right? Well, much like their natural counterparts, these guardians are also preyed upon by a certain monster. After slaying the guardian Ebony Odogaron, a strange creature snuck in. It took Ebony's body and pulled us inside a cave. The creature then proceeds to eat the guardian in front of us, and it revealed its horrifying appearance. This creature is known as Shiwu. Shiwu is a cephalopod monster. Its tentacles harden from the mucus it secretes, which shapes them in a way that resembles blades or spears. Some refer to Shiwu as the piercing assassin. Moreover, this creature has no eyes, but its other senses are highly developed. It excels at catching prey off guard, especially with its ability to enter small crevices and crawl quickly across the ground. Hidden underneath its body, it has a large mouth that allows it to devour large creatures. Shiwu adapted itself to prey on guardians. It's often active during Wyvern's Awakening, an inclemency period in the ruins of Wyveria, due to the increased number of awakened guardians. Because of how this monster is attracted towards guardians, there was one unfortunate incident where it consumed a villager of Sild, because the villager's outfit mistakenly resembles a guardian's cocoon. If you came to this village for the first time, you can actually talk to this person. After Wyveria fell, many of these guardians were left with no guidance, no order, and trapped in the mindless state until they turned back into crystals. Sometimes, if one of the guardian bumps into each other, they clash, and it seems like a remnant of their former identity. Now, they're pretty much hollowed husks roaming around the ruins, except for one guardian, Arkveld. In my previous video about extinct species, I explained how Arkveld was one such guardian that was singled out for being an extinct species. One day, Guardian Arkveld, which had been chained up for a long time, broke loose. Throughout the story, Nata explains how Arkveld, or as they call the White Wraith, destroyed their village known as Sild after it had went berserk. After Guardian Arkveld's rampage and learning to predate, it became unable to regulate its intake of wyvern milk. Because of how it was so intoxicated by the surplus of energy, the monster descended into madness. Due to its destructive behavior, the Avis unit, that's us, made the decision to slay the monster. In the days after Guardian Arkveld was slain, the Avis unit found something near the windswept mountain. What they found was an empty egg of Arkveld. Let's take a closer look at Arkveld. According to the research notes, Arkveld is a flying wyvern with unique chain-like blades on its wings. These blades can extend and retract freely to reap its prey. This monster feeds on elemental energy through the chain blades and uses that energy to unleash dragon elemental attacks. Its ability is pretty crazy if you ask me. There are only a few monsters that can make use of dragon element, and much like Arkveld, it consumes a lot of their energy. Again, we'll talk more about the mystery of the dragon element in a separate video, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. According to Alma, some ancient records mention a monster with similar characteristics of that Arkveld, and it lacks the ability to absorb and convert elements. Potentially, this could mean that when monsters are turned into guardians, they gain enhanced abilities. Arkveld may have gained new abilities despite reverting to its origin, and again, it's still a mystery as to why it was chosen to be a guardian and what function the monster served. Besides the creation of these guardians, Wyveria also created a secret guardian, one far more powerful than all of these, the guardian they call Zoshia. Long ago, a royal paleontology scrivener wrote in a hunter's encyclopedia a rumor about an ancient storage facility hidden deep within an unknown forest. Inside this facility lay a monster, and not just any monster, but an amalgamation of dragons believed to be created by an ancient civilization that once meddled with life. It was unbelievable to think about. What really happened here is, underneath the city of Wyveria, there was an abandoned shrine, and we discovered a giant monster, the ultimate guardian of Wyveria, Zoshia. This creature clearly takes inspiration from the equal dragon weapon, and we can safely assume this is the case. To think this monster brought countless discussions online for many, many years, and here we are standing in front of the being. Not only that, but we get to hunt it too. But what exactly is Zoshia? According to the All Harkin, the Wyverian you'd meet in the highest place of the Forbidden Lands, also known as Suja, during the Age of Wyveria, the civilization faced a threat of a looming war at its gates. Because of this, they created another guardian said to be the ultimate weapon of Wyveria. This guardian, Zoshia, was created to be their savior, but unfortunately, it became Wyveria's biggest mistake, and it caused their own demise. When you craft Zoshia's armor pieces, it speaks volume of how unstable the Guardian is. Following the massive destruction of the civilization, the ultimate Guardian, Zoshia, fell dormant and continued to feed off the energy of the Dragon Torch inside the shrine, and by doing so, it threw the weather of the surrounding regions of the Forbidden Lands into disarray. In addition to the destruction, many of the guardians fell dormant, while the rest continued to roam the ruins of Wyveria without purpose. Quite a story, huh? If we look at the appearance of Zoshia, you can tell how it differs from how it was depicted in the rumor. Its entire body is covered in crystallized wilt. It has giant wing arms on its back adorned with strands shaped like feathers. While its head doesn't seem to have a face, if we destroy the Wilk shell, we can see its hollowed eyes, blue flesh, and a mouth. Do I only see this? But its head kinda resembles the Artian helmet, don't you think? As mentioned in the Hunter notes, its true form underneath the crystallized wilt is oddly terrifying. Its form is a black monstrosity whose head and jaws grow in size and whose massive arms are mangled and adorned with numerous twisted horns. I think the best way to illustrate this is with a black ember mass that you can carve from its body. It's a small, swollen mass from the inside of Zoshia that pulses with an alien-like quality. Besides the appearance of this guardian, what makes Zoshia terrifying is how its attacks resemble some of the powerful monsters we have encountered in the Monster Hunter series. Zun has an incredible video portraying a side-by-side comparison of Zoshia's attacks against many of the powerful monsters we have faced in the past. I highly recommend checking it out. On top of this, what's also crazy is, despite slaying Zoshia, it was able to replicate itself through asexual reproduction, but there's a catch, of course. For it to succeed, Zoshia has to be in close proximity to a massive source of Wilk energy, such as the Dragon Torch, which is why it lies dormant in the shrine. I'm still wrapping my head around this idea. After all these years of theory crafting and speculation about artificial creatures, I'm still amazed that we're now seeing it unfold in the story of Monster Hunter Wilds. Of course, these are not Frankenstein monsters stitched together with mechanical parts as it was rumored in the book. I know some of you may think the concept of these guardians may seem lazy, unnecessary, or quite underwhelming, but I do think it has some potential. I wonder, was there a point in time during the Age of Wyveria that they've explored the New World? Let me explain. Later in the story of Monster Hunter Wilds, Gemma talks to us about Artian materials. These Artian materials, such as ancient weapon fragments, rusted weapon shards, and damaged weapon shards, are collected after slaying tempered monsters. These are monsters that have survived countless battles. By giving Gemma these materials, she will be able to craft these Artian weapons. Besides these ancient weapons, she could also craft the Artian armor set. Although this doesn't really require any of those Artian ancient materials. With that in mind, these ancient fragments are also found in the New World, which is quite odd. I've mentioned this in one of my older videos, but basically, remember how in the story of Monster Hunter World, we were asked by the Hunters Guild to venture out to this unexplored continent, which we later call as the New World. Throughout the story, it was said that we explored the New World 40 years ago with the First Fleet. During our time in the New World, we would soon find out that we were not the first ones to inhabit this continent. If you send out the cats to explore one of the locales in the New World, sometimes they encounter an ancient fragment along their journey. And you see, this is quite strange. Where did these cats found these ancient fragments? Could this mean the New World was already explored by the civilization of Wyveria? Possibly, but we're still uncertain. Despite Gemma mentioning how she could recreate some of the weapons of the lost civilization. I'm sure many of you, just as I did not expect these kinds of absurd monsters to be shown in the world of Monster Hunter. The idea of artificial creatures is so far-fetched that it would sound like one of those fan-made story of the game you'd read on some wiki. But you know what? I like it. Initially, this crazy concept was one of their ideas while conceptualizing the first Monster Hunter game. Eventually, these concepts are reintroduced as unidentified creatures or in-game rumors, which allowed them to reintroduce and modify them later on to fit the game, just like some of the creatures in Monster Hunter World. But hey, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. I wasn't expecting many of you, after my previous video about extinct species, to wish for some of those creatures to be introduced as guardians in wilds. Who knows? Maybe there are more extinct species we haven't heard of that will be introduced, much like Arkveld. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out our Patreon. I've been uploading some behind the scenes there, video updates and other unreleased stories. I highly recommend you check it out. As always, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.